You know, I do have some thoughts about this tournament, and not just because of the shirt I'm wearing in support of a superstar I have. But then again, I just like cruiserweight wrestling in general, and I thought this week was one of my favorite rounds of the tournament. People, 205 Live matters. There's great wrestling. Support the brand. Be aware. Join the movement. Come join us and believe that 205 Live does matter. And enjoy this week's review. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Now, I'm just Simple Man, and my name is Noah Foster. And welcome once again to this week's episode of 205 Live Matters. This week, we will be covering this week's episode of 205 Live, episode number 120, that occurred from Dayton, Ohio on March the 12th. And we will also be covering our thoughts on the tournament, as well as some possible thoughts on how we can make 205 Live even better in Drew Gulak's words. But first, allow me to introduce you to my guest tonight. He's a family man. He's a new brought on fan. He's been inspired by Stefan. Please welcome the holiday, Chris Mace. Chris, how are you?
Doing all right.
Good. Good to hear from you. So you watched this week's episode of 205 Live, right?
Yep.
Have you been following the tournament?
I've been following the tournament. I've been finding it interesting so far. I thought this week's episode really good. I thought the semifinals really good. The only thing I would have done, I think I would have switched both the matches in the order they were, actually.
Interesting thought. All right, so with that, let's get started right into this show. So usually, folks, this show usually starts off with a recap of previous events as well as the events that happened tonight by the 205 Live general manager, Drake Maverick, the former Rockstar Spud of TNA. Oops, I brought that up. Anyway, this week was actually very different. Instead of getting straight from the words of Drake Maverick, we got promos straight from each competitor involved tonight in the semifinal matches. Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, Oney Lorcan, and Cedric Alexander. Drew Gulak basically introducing us to the brand, 205 Live, basically saying how he is separating men from boys, contenders from pretenders, victims from the victors, and how he will bring up past history from Tony Nese because, again, Tony Nese with Drew Gulak, it occurred from the last tournament last year. And he says that he owns him. Truth be told, he did. He won. And the bottom line is this. When you step to me, you will tap out. Nese then follows up with this saying, it's not going to take speed or strength. Those aren't my greatest assets. And I know who I'm facing. You can really say that Drew Gulak is probably the most dangerous man on 205 Live because when he sees you make a mistake, he capitalizes on it and dissects you. My focus is my biggest asset, and I know I can't make mistakes. And I will not give up as I pursue my dream to represent my hometown at WrestleMania. Following this, we get the other participants from the other match tonight, Oney Lorcan and Cedric Alexander. Oney Lorcan, the newest addition to the 205 Live roster, you could say. He basically talks about nothing personal. Drake knew what he got when he asked me to be part of this. Cedric is athletic and experienced. He's been to WrestleMania, but he can be broken. So I would do everything I can to snuff out the soul of 205 Live. Then finally, we get the man himself that won the tournament last year, Cedric Alexander. He says how he is a bad, bad man, Oney Lorcan is. But he could also see Oney Lorcan owning the brand one day. Keyword one day, because he's still part of it. And the road to the Cruiserweight title goes through him. And all I need to do is provide one lumbar check, and that's it. Because I plan on going back to Mania to reclaim what is mine. Chris, what were your thoughts on all four men's opening promos, hyping their matches, talking about their opponents, and who you think basically convinced you the most?
I was like I said, we had talked about it before. I had picked Drew Gulak to win. That's who I was going for. And I pretty much liked all their promos. I thought all of them were good. Lorcan, I was more interested in just seeing that matchup, their contrast styles. I was pulling for him too. I was hoping that he would go ahead and win that match and beat Cedric Alexander. It was, like I said, it made it feel like a big fight. Like this is the most important thing right now going on. They made it feel like this big fight feel all dead serious, all intense. They were all talking about how they had to win, they had to get there, they're going to WrestleMania. They made it feel like this was a big fight feel. This is like the biggest thing going on in wrestling right now. And that's what I liked about each one of their promos. They were all pretty much dead serious to the point, and they were telling you they were going to be the ones that were winning tonight.
Yes, I completely agree. And I've been, and people know this, or at least you, if you don't know, people, I am a huge advocate for Drew Gulak for a better 205 Live. In my opinion, I feel like he is worthy of being the next Cruiserweight champion, which we'll get into after we finish reviewing the show and his match. But first, let's go straight into it because literally we waste no time. We get our intro theme and we get right into it. They show the bracket and they basically reiterate tonight's matches. Literally just 2 matches on the show tonight. Only Lorcan versus Alexander and Tony Nese versus Drew Gulak. But before that, we do get word from the champ and get his thoughts. As you all know, Buddy Murphy, he is vacationing basically, relaxing in his home, Melbourne, Australia. And he basically talks about how he congrats all the semifinalists and he claims that he's the greatest cruiser of all time and looks forward to whoever wins. He has no favoritism. He does briefly disclose how he feels about each athlete. He says that Drew Gulak is probably the best in-ring technician. Only Lorcan is yet to adjust, and he can relate to that, which, if you all know Buddy Murphy's past, definitely makes sense. Tony is the blueprint of what a cruiserweight should be, especially a cruiserweight champion. And Cedric, you wouldn't be surprised to see him at Mania because he's already been to that stage. But the bottom line, you just can't stop the unstoppable. And simple, brief promo. I think he basically covered everybody in a quicker manner than the commentary would. And yeah, I feel like he really didn't show any favoritism or any real like inkling of, I think this person's weaker than the other. I think I could easily beat this person. Chris, did you interpret anything outside of what we saw from Buddy Murphy in regards to who he might want to face at WrestleMania?
He just seems like he doesn't really care who he faces because he already has in his head he's going to beat him and retain that title at WrestleMania regardless. He doesn't seem to care who he faces, honestly. It seems like he pretty much made his points across with all 4 of them, told everybody how he felt about all 4 of them, what he thought was wrong with all 4 of them, and just said he was going to take care of it at WrestleMania. That's what he plans on doing.
Yeah, Buddy Murphy has definitely been one of the more credible champions in recent memory. One of the more dominant ones, too. So it'll be truly interesting how they set up the match for WrestleMania after this tournament concludes, because it's going to conclude at least a couple weeks before actual WrestleMania. So you got to imagine both men are going to be filling out processes, promos, hypes, etc. But we'll get to that later. Let's get right into the show. Following that, we get straight into our first match. Only Lorcan versus Alexander. And this match really could have gone either way, in my opinion. You have the seasoned, experienced person that won it all, knows the big stage, knows what it takes to get there, knows what it takes to win. Only Lorcan, though, he's still looking for his moment. He says he can adapt to any style, and he'll do anything he can to win. I thought this was an incredible back-and-forth match. And to Nigel McGuinness's credit, he did say this was going to come down to the way this match was approached by both men, either by striking or by speed. And there was a lot of both in here. There was the filling out process, of course, because neither man knew each other. This is their first one-on-one encounter. But that really picks up with an attempted kick and just the first chop of the match by Only Lorcan that just dropped Cedric Alexander. And it just kept going from there. Only Lorcan providing full-on offense with chops, uppercuts. And then eventually our first spot from Cedric, he gets back into it with an uppercut and a dropkick combination. Gets a cover. Nothing special, first cover of the match. Both men, neither of them showing weakness or vulnerability. Following that, we get more chops. There's more offense. There's a vicious kick to the back of Only Lorcan's head to another cover. And then our first attempt, very early, I might add, into Cedric's finisher, the lumbar check. Of course, denied. We get clothesline and 2 follow-up cover attempts from that. Then we get a gut wrench, a spinning forearm. We get knees, more chops. And then it slowed down for a moment. To be honest, my breath. We had like an abdominal stress, or at least an attempt. It looked like at least 2 or 3 attempts at it. But Cedric, he fights out with strikes, headbutts. It didn't seem like it was fully like locked, and he didn't have like a proper stance, in my opinion. Get more chops, get a roll through cover, vicious clothesline into a spinning back elbow strike, and then what a Cedric signature is, the neuralizer into a springboard flatliner cover. That was our first real near fall, I like to think. And then, yeah, I just kept going from here. We got blockbuster, nice high angle blockbuster into a cover and near fall. And then here's where I really thought Oni had it. He goes for his finisher, the half and half. Hits it. The commentator's put it over. He won. He's moving on. No. Kicked out. Now, the fact that this is literally his second match, I believe, on the brand, and his finisher has already been kicked out, I feel like it credits him a little bit. But it got worse from there, in my opinion. Following this, we get standing switch, another attempted lumbar. Nope. Because Cedric is selling the back because only Logan was working on his back and his ribs the whole entire match. Basically, his back gets out, and then he gets another vicious chop that just drops him. But then we get a spinning back kick from Cedric, saves of Tony knees. And then another half and half attempt. Got it, covered, nope. We get some uppercuts, and Oni goes into the apron. It looks like Cedric just drops him. Maybe he went for like a spear here. I'm not even sure what this was. Drops Oni on the apron. Then we get a nice Mizunoku driver. Now, this doesn't surprise me that Oni kicked out of this because Buddy Murphy kicked out of this back at Super Showdown. So I was like, nah, he's not going to win here. They also brought up the point that he really rolled deep into the cover, so deep that basically Oni slipped out. I feel like that was a good call. And then basically Cedric's like, you want this, you want this. Cedric showing true frustration, just eating, giving strikes into Oni Lorcan. And then basically gets caught in an uppercut. And then here's where I thought the match really should have been. Both men on the corner, slow to build, but we get an insane half and half suplex off the top rope. The fact that Cedric Alexander kicked out of this, I really don't know where Oni Lorcan goes from here. I really wonder if this is going to be like a one-off. Now that he's done with Torment, he's just going to go back to NXT like Roderick Strong did. But then following this, Cedric, he slaps Oni. Then Oni does one of his trademark spots, grips you by the jaw and just vicious open palm strikes with that gritty face. But then he goes for, I think what may have been a clothesline or another blockbuster. Cedric catches him by the tights. Instant lumbar check out of nowhere. Catches him 1, 2, 3. Man, I have mixed feelings about this, but Chris, your overall feelings about this match and any other takeaways from it?
Like I said, made you think at any time Lorcan was going to win. The way he was going, like I said, it was two contrasts to different styles, and that's what made this match very interesting and intriguing to me. He had that half and half suplex first time. I was like, okay, he kicked out. But when he got the half suplex again, I thought that match was over. Cedric Alexander is not kicking out of that. And when he did, that was kind of like, oh shit, here we go. Now he's going to end up winning. But just the way he ended up winning was kind of irking me. Like, okay, I know you're desperate, you're losing. He's been working on you the whole match. You're getting dominated for the most part. And then the way you had to win the match by ending up pulling on his tights the last second, hit the lumbar check to get that surprise victory. That was kind of surprising me. I seen Cedric Alexander, how he had to kind of cheat to get that victory and hit that lumbar check the last minute. That was something I was kind of surprised at how they did that ending.
Yeah, it just seemed like out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he was just brutally hurt. And I'm like, he just got out of nowhere. I was like, oh, the back gave out. He couldn't do it. And then a second time, he actually gets it. Excruciating and pain, goes for a cover. Maybe that would have made me believe it more, but it just seemed like, okay, so they're going to give this to Cedric from the get-go. Now, the lovely Cindy G, she gave her thoughts on this last week and also gave her thoughts kind of before we started. And yeah, she's not very happy either. She was rooting for Oni. I think we all wanted Oni to get the moment here. But then again, I look at people's thoughts, reactions on Twitter because, again, everybody, 205 Live matters, and your opinions matter too. Some of them are indifferent. Some of them believe that, oh, this is just building up to the Soul 205 Live once again reclaiming what's his at WrestleMania. Is that going to happen? I don't know. He still technically has one more match to go through. But yeah, as far as the finish of this match, it just seemed really wacky and out of nowhere for me. I feel like they should have sold the back a little more, and it should have at least took another attempt, after that, goes for it, fails, then goes for it again, gets it, crawls in the cover, kind of like what Bobby Roode did with Hideo and Tommy during their NXT Championship match back in NXT. How he sold out his arm was hurting the entire match. Cedric, working your son. That's all I have to say about that. But I enjoyed this match overall, too.
I mean, even if he had won, I'd been more convinced if he maybe got like a fluke roll up at that point or something along that line. Something where you could tell he was seriously injured. He wasn't even able to hit the lumbar check. He was never able to hit it because he was too injured and had to find a different way to win. With him doing it like that, it kind of came off like, okay, you're supposed to be the crowd favorite, the babyface. You kind of came off as a heel, and Lorcan's got every right to bitch and complain. You pulled his tights to win the match.
Yeah, and that's true. He did. He didn't pull the tights to the cover, but he did hold the tights back to literally, like, bungee back him back into a lumbar check. So, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so following this, we get a recap of an event from last week outside the tournament. And the other overall story going on, 205 Live in general. Mike Kanellis. So we get a recap of Mike's match from last week, if you call it that, where he literally beats the daylight out of Johnny Lyons. And then we basically go straight into the office of Drake Maverick. Mike basically talks about, again, he's been here for 16 years. He's wrestled all over the world. He's paid his dues. And he demands his respect, not his pity. And he deserves better. Drake, of course, being indifferent, he's like, you know what? You're right. So next week, you're going to face one of the top cruiserweights in the world. But keep in mind, this roster has no room for losers. And looking good in defeat may not cut it eventually. So I suggest you take next week's opportunity very serious, because there may not be another one. Now, this has me intrigued, because I just going through the roster, I'm like, he can't be talking about somebody that's already been on the roster. It's got to be somebody like out of nowhere, like a one-off appearance. Maybe somebody from NXT UK. One of the top cruiserweights in the world. Maybe it could be a new signing. I really have no idea. Chris, what is your guess as to Mike Kanellis' opponent?
That's a good one too. I'm kind of tricky. I couldn't see it be somebody on the roster, but your point too, maybe it could be somebody from NXT UK. Maybe somebody like a Devlin or something that shows up for a one-off and comes in there and just destroys him and everything, and then ends up building that storyline where Drake Maverick finally just eventually gets rid of Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis, do something like that. That would be kind of a surprise factor. Nobody would expect that, really.
Yeah. It just really baffles me, okay? And I keep going back to what Maria's saying. The match. People will then remember the name Mike Kanellis. Is this the match that we've been waiting to see? Is this the match that Mike Kanellis needs? Or is this the match that is going to be leading to his lead? Because we all know there's been rumors back and forth on whether or not Mike and Maria Kanellis are leaving. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to go to AEW. That would be too much like an obvious choice. But as far as leaving 205 Live or the WWE, there's an entire possibility of that happening, because a lot of talent has that possibility coming up with contracts expiring and indifferences and disagreements as far as their booking and creative. I mean, look at the Good Brothers. They turned down multi-million-dollar contracts, and they're leaving at the end of their contract in September. So, yeah, if I was to take a guess, yeah, you brought up a good one right there with Jordan Devlin. The whole heel versus heel dynamic, I can definitely see that there. Both men trying to bounce back from losses. But I feel like Jordan Devlin would have more momentum in this match and more likely would win. If I was going to pick somebody, for example, from NXT, jeez. I have to say it. I can honestly see, sorry, but I can honestly see it as a one-off, because I know people have mentioned the name. I can honestly see Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah, even as a one-off, though, because, I mean, let's think about it. We've already had, like, Roderick Strong. He had a one-off with Cedric Alexander. Incredible match. Then he had another one-off with Hideo Itami. They have used NXTs for one-offs before. Big names. With Johnny Gargano as a major name, you're trying to put the brand on the map. Why not one of the best faces and best wrestlers you have? So, That's my thoughts on that. So moving on, we get Ari Daivari. Another little tiny promo. He says his biggest asset was being, like, the biggest detriment to putting over other people in the roster. Like, basically being a lapdog.
That's a good
word too, but I don't even remember what that word was. But basically, he goes along with that whole thing about when the leash comes off, you're going to see what a year of frustration really looks like. So apparently, he's been really venting for the last year. Maybe it's because he's been out there reacting to the injury. Maybe it's because he feels like he's been overlooked. Maybe it's because he feels like he hasn't really gotten his feet solidified in the ground on the roster. It'll be interesting to see how he's put in the 205 Live picture. But if you ask me, this more plays into why I think it's going to be the reset of 205 Live after WrestleMania. Because once WrestleMania is over, the entire brand is going to be restructured.
Right.
So I have to imagine he's going to probably be put into a feud with Simple Face, maybe Akira Tozawa, maybe the Brian Kendrick, maybe someone else new. Hell, maybe even Purple Carrillo. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there. What are your thoughts?
Just let's see what he does. Exactly, like I said, I haven't really worried about him too much in a while, so we'll see what they end up doing with him and just go from there. Like I said, he's a good wrestler, but it's like they haven't really done too much with him, so let's just see what happens.
Yeah, big old afterthought. Sound like the Forgotten Sons. NXT.
Yeah.
Go support Aftermatch Wrestling, folks, and watch what NXT and NXT Tea Party. But I digress. Keep on being something, Jerry. Okay, so following that, we go. Well, first off, we get the countdown to WrestleMania because WrestleMania it's within a month away. Now,
Right.
if I'm going to rate my overall excitement, well, the car's not even fully built yet, so it's probably a 6 for me. But I digress. We'll talk more about that later. And stay tuned, folks, because No DQ, Predictions League, and of course, the No DQ NXT team, and I know everybody else for that matter, because it's WrestleMania season. Get your predictions ready because we are going to be in for a long freaking show, but hopefully one hell of a good one. Anyway, so we get into our main event. Tony Nese versus Drew Gulak. Drew Gulak, of course, is all about safe and sound, feet on the ground. And Tony Nese, who's supposed to be the premier athlete, talking about he's a new man, changed ever since he beat Noam Dar in that match I saw live when he drove his knee for Noam Dar through the time fuse area. Still freaking insane. Can't believe I saw that. So this was definitely a different match, as you said, a very different approach. It was more of a technical versus a brawling standpoint because you have the speed and athleticism of Tony Nese versus the ground-based technical submission game of Drew Gulak. So this match really felt a little slow for me at first. Both men trying to really lock down one another. There was like side headlock, there was a headlock, a scissors lock, there was escape, there was a moonsault almost into a Gulak, which was really the first telling story of this match because again, Drew can get you with that out of nowhere. He sees you make one false move, he can get you into that Gulak. So Tony Nese, he was aware that okay, I need to really be careful here. Going back to what he said, he can't make mistakes because Drew can dissect him. Boy, did Drew dissect him in this match though. Arm lock, headlock, side headlock, cover. Then eventually Tony Nese, he gets the advantage after a cartwheel and then a kick. Then there's a suplex to a cover. Chops were exchanged between both men. Tony Nese constantly working on the legs, the arms, pulling back on the hair and the beard. Gulak, he was working on the legs. Eventually, he bashes Tony Nese's knee into the mat, goes for a cover, it doesn't work. We get more headlocks. Drew just constantly showing aggressive and offense here. At one point, Drew says, I own you. Then Nese, he comes back with Irish whip and some strikes. And Drew, again, it was a very back and forth match. At one point, there was "We Want Drew" chant, so you could tell that Drew, he's definitely going over in the roster. He's got to be one of the more over people on the roster, in my opinion. Then following this, we get a really nice spot, a straight jacket submission, they called it, when he had his arms folded up behind his back, pushing the knee into his spine. Eventually, though, Nese gets out of it, gets some more strikes into there, cover. Nothing special. Following this, we get a nice Northern Light suplex to a bridge. Once again, Tony Nese showcasing his strength. And then following this, we get a bit of exchange. Nese with a kip up, a kick. He hangs Gulak out to dry. Very nice, innovative move. We get a springboard moonsault, but then he's kicked. There's a split-legged moonsault. I feel like it's more of a botch here, though, because he really didn't execute it well, in my opinion. I don't think he got like the full-fledged split-leg moonsault, really. But I guess they call it a near fall. I wouldn't call it that. But I will say this. They did put over the point that Nese, he paused and proceeded with caution. He didn't go like right into the double move combination. Once again, pulling back on Tony Nese's strength of what he thinks would carry him in this match. What makes him a new man? What would help him to win? But the match kept going. Following this, we get an attempted Gulak, or what you think is going to be a Gulak, into a power bomb, another cover, and then another power bomb, which I thought was really impressive. But I thought also hindered Drew Gulak because that took a lot of strength. That cover looked very loose to me. I did not see him winning there, and I felt like he kind of really slipped up there. Maybe he was just trying to weaken him more because he was working more on the neck and the back for the actual Gulak, but I don't know. Nese then goes for one of his specials, a roll through open palm strike into a Hurricane Rana, and then goes for his signature, a 450 splash, which the commentator put over as a 450 crash, because he crashed and burned. Then we follow this. We get another Gulak attempt. I think it's like the third one in the match. Nope, counter into a pump handle driver. Almost executed, but then Nese, he basically, Gulak escapes it. Then Nese goes for a little bit back and forth. There's a jump, but kudos to how well Drew Gulak knows him. Good back and forth bout. He basically gets him into a roll up and nice near fall. Then we get another Gulak attempt, but to Tony Nese's credit, again playing back to how much they know each other, he rolls on his side, makes it to the rope. But then we get some paintbrushing, a German suplex by Drew Gulak, and then, oh no, that's Tony Nese, I'm sorry. Then he goes for his arm signature, the running Nese. He misses, get a vicious clothesline from Drew Gulak, turns Tony Nese inside out into another cover, which basically led towards our finish of the match. Finally, he locks in the Gulak, or at least attempts to. We get some Gator Roll action, shades of Luke Harper. I hope he does come back soon, by the way. And finally, he gets the Gulak fully applied, and when it looks like Drew Gulak's going to win, too close to the ropes, great ring awareness by Tony Nese. He basically does like a Sasha Banks spot where he pushes back on the ropes, does a float over into a cover, and out of nowhere gets the win. 1, 2, 3. I was shocked. Drew was shocked. Chris, what about you?
I was shocked at the outcome of the match. Like I said, I had picked Drew. We talked about this before. I had picked Drew Gulak to win the whole thing, and so obviously I'm wrong because my pick didn't win.
Yeah, got it.
But yeah, well, like I said, it was a good back and forth match. And actually, this is one of those times I did like the commentary during the match too, because they were talking about the history between these two. Nese said he's not the same since Gulak had turned on him, but now he's more focused. I just like, this is the one time I can say the commentary helped the match a little bit too, because of the storytelling they were telling as well, talking about their history between these two men. And like I said, Gulak is just so damn good. Like I said, he is just really damn good. His technical wrestling is really damn good. And so, but that finish though was kind of surprising. Like I said, I'd rather had Nese have good decisive win against him. I'd rather him hit his finisher and beat him. Instead, they do it where you just pretty much made it look like, okay, you made Gulak. Gulak was the one who made the mistake. You know how they talk about Gulak, make sure if you make a mistake, he's going to beat you. Well, this is the one time Gulak made that mistake, and then it cost him because he was too close to the ropes when he got the Gulak on, and he was able to reverse it just long enough to get that 3 count.
Very well put, by the way, because, yeah, that really goes back to, like you said at the very beginning. He had to avoid a mistake. It was Drew that made the mistake, apparently, and Tony Nese capitalized. And, yeah, Aiden English, to his credit, very good color commentator, play-by-play person, telling the stories, telling what both men brings. He really does seem to have great chemistry with Adam McGinnis. And I'll even give Vic Joseph some credit. He hyped up the near spots. He didn't seem to say takedown so much. I feel like this 3-person commentary team is almost up there with the 3 in NXT. Keyword almost, but you're never going to outdo Mauro Ranallo, in my opinion. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match, and I felt like, again, Drew Gulak, he deserves to be the closer to 205 Live because his matches, they always deliver, and his in-ring style and the way he carries himself and the way he just really works with his opponents, it can pretty much work on any brand. Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT, NXT UK, you name it. The Worlds Collide tournament is the perfect demonstration of this. Another incredible showing by him, but I am a little disappointed. That being said, I kind of understand why Tony Nese also is a victor here because, again, WrestleMania is in his hometown. And by the way, Cedric Alexander, he did look at this during the match at one point. He was watching the match, and also he did applaud Tony Nese in victory. So here we go, folks. Next week, our finals are set. Tony Nese versus Cedric Alexander. The winner faces Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania. And it better not be on the kickoff show. But I digress, because I'm going to save my anger for then, because people are like, oh, no, that's too angry. I'm not that angry. I'm just very serious because I respect what the Cruiserweights bring versus what some of the other competitors that get the main spot bring in their matches. Nia Jax. But I digress. Yeah, so we now know at least 2 matches to look forward to. One we don't know both competitors in, but we know now the finals of this tournament. So, Chris, who do you see taking this tournament? Tony Nese or Cedric Alexander?
That's a hard one for me because I could see it going both ways. I could see Cedric Alexander winning so they could set up that rematch with Buddy Murphy and maybe have that moment where Cedric Alexander finally gets his title back. But then I could see him going with Tony Nese too, and it'd be a different matchup to me going into WrestleMania. But if it's Cedric Alexander winning, I could see him winning the title at WrestleMania. If it's Tony Nese winning, I don't see him beating Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania. So just made my gut feeling. I'm saying Cedric Alexander is going to win next week. That's just my gut feeling on it.
Wow, and already forecasting WrestleMania too. Very bold. You definitely bring up strong points, conveying the fact that he's been there last year. He won it last year, though it was vacant. This year, though, he's going up against Buddy Murphy, which he has yet to overcome. So it would make sense for him to actually overcome Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania. That being said, Tony Nese has yet to go for the title at all. And it's Buddy Murphy's alleged friend, / partner he trains with. He also put him the most over, it seemed, when he talked about all 4 competitors in his Instagram promo at the beginning of the show. It would make more sense for me for Tony Nese to face him because I feel like he's developing a face dynamic, and it would be a very unique one-on-one encounter. So I'm just going to be on spot here and say, contradicting to you, I think Tony Nese is going to win. And as far as Cedric Alexander, maybe this will finally be what pushes him to turn heel.
Yeah, I could see that idea too if you think about it. Because look at how Cedric Alexander had to win that match. He already had kind of felt like he had signs of being a heel at that point. How he had to win the match to beat Lorcan.
Absolutely. And Cindy also thinks that Tony's going to win as well because again, WrestleMania is also in Tony Nese's hometown. So it will be very interesting to see how they really handle the conclusion of this tournament and how both men's careers go from here. So yeah, I thought once again a very decent show overall. If I would, because let's see, we got great promos, we got development for next week's episode, we got incredible in-ring action on just 2 matches, and I thought commentary was on point. And Sydney rated the show 3.5. If I was to rate it, I think I will be slightly more generous because again, Drew Gulak still over with me, still enjoys action, still think he's protected over in defeat because he was shocked by it. I mean, he didn't really seem like disappointed. He more seemed like just surprised and realized that he made a mistake like he said. I think this week's show was a 3.75 for me. What about you out of 5?
I would agree with you. I go 3.75. Like I said, both the matches had a good length of time. They're both very competitive. They're both different. Their own, each match was completely different kind of matchup. Like I said, the first one I thought was really damn good. Like I told you before, I would have switched them and had Cedric and oh my God, I'm gonna go brain dead. Ori be the main event. Yeah, Ori Lorcan be the main event. That's what I would have done differently. But other than that critique, like I said, I think 3.75 is fair because I think both the matches were good. Just the only thing with, like that said, that finish with Cedric did, that was kind of just interesting to me how he was getting beaten down, and he just had to go to a heelish tactic to win the match. So, like I said, I could easily see him turning heel at some point here really soon, the way we were just talking about it.
Yeah. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how the brand develops and resets and changes out its talent and other stories to come, and potentially who's the champ, who's going to go after the champ after WrestleMania. Because we all know when WrestleMania is done, everything resets. But that being said,
well, I have to say, this is probably a record for how we've gone through a review of the show. So thank you all for tuning in and watching, and please stay tuned for part 2 of my weekly series called Simple Stances, where we'll be discussing matters of 205 Live. And as always, remember, 205 Live does matter, and keep supporting this brand and ODQ. Until the next video, have a wonderful night. Thank you.